Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To Dr. Cik Aziz Yaakob and all my fellow friends. My name is Nur ARIFAH AWATIF binti Muhammad, matric number 263209. In my channel today, I will talk about conflicts between Rohingya ethnic group and government of Myanmar. Before we go more further, let we understand what is conflict. From my perspective, conflict can be defined as situations in which opposite behaviors occur, where one activity prohibits, obstructs, interrupts, harms, or makes the other less likely to be useful in any manner.
In my opinion, conflict refers to a situation where two parties having argument. Specifically, it involves a serious argument or disagreement about something. So this situation will affect the good relationship between both parties.
In my view, conflict means disagreement through which the parties involve a perceived threat to their interest in concern. For the example, there are two best friends having an argument in choosing the best restaurant to have their dinner.
Now, I will explain about who are Rohingya and background of Myanmar. Rohingya is a rootless Indo-Aryan group that mostly Muslim center in Rakhine or Arakan state in Myanmar. The early history of Rohingya is said to date from the beginning of 7th century in Rakhine state. They have physical, linguistic, and cultural similarities with South Asia. Myanmar is one of the countries located in Southeast Asia. The full name is the Republic of the Union Myanmar. It's also sometimes called Burma. Myanmar is the second largest country after Indonesia in number of population of about 60 million people. Myanmar is more dominated by the Burmese ethnic group and other ethnic minority. Now we go to the history of the conflict. The conflict began when British conquered Myanmar and decided to run it as a province of British India in 1824. At that time, the migration of labor from Myanmar, India, and Bangladesh can be looked as internal movement. Then came Second World War. Japan claimed Myanmar in 1942. At that time, Myanmar people support Japan, but Rohingya more to British because British promised to give autonomy by recognize Arakan as Muslim state. But Rohingya unable to get it because British was defeated. In 1945, British returned to colonize Myanmar. In 1948, Myanmar got independence. The government considered the migration is illegal and not recognize the Rohingya citizenship because of Union Citizenship Act and new citizenship law. Other than that, conflicts also happened because of religious tension between Buddhists and Muslims in that area. I will start with contradiction. Contradiction referred to as the inconsistency of aims between the parties involved, or a set of assertions and beliefs that are diametrically opposite to one another to achieve the goal. From the conflict, we can see when tensions between Buddhism and Muslim groups in terms of religion, that Myanmar people are concerned about the presence of this ethnic group because they want only one faith, namely Buddhism, to be recognized as a religion in that area. Then, attitude defined as comprehension and misinterpretation of themselves and one another by the person involved. Based on the conflict, the attitude that assuming the Rohingya ethnic are illegal immigrants is the reason for this protracted dispute and therefore call them Bengalis. This is because the Rohingya was taken in by British colonialists even though they had arrived in Rakhine as early as 1430 according to their background. Lastly, behavior is the way a person conducts or acts. Based on the conflict, it can be shown when the Rohingya Muslim ethnic were raped and massacred with the intention of wiping them out while fleeing Rakhine. There are also killings, torture, and indiscriminate shootings committed by the Burmese military against the Rohingya. From that, almost 6,700 Rohingya, including 730 children, victimized by the military. The conflict also has 3 phases. Phase 1 is beginning, Phase 2 middle, and Phase 3 climax. Phase 1 or beginning can be seen when British and Japan colonized Myanmar. Phase 2 or middle when General Ne Win oversaw Myanmar. Phase 3 or climax. The government and 16 rebel factions signed a drop ceasefire deal, but thousands of Rohingya people are starving and dying. In conflict analysis, I also use conflict triangle by Galton for this conflict. From that, contradictions, attitude, and behavior are the most related terms of crisis identity of this conflict. This is because after 1982, the state of Myanmar the government of Myanmar has not declared Rohingya to be people of that country because of their faith and race. Theravada Buddhists claim that the Rohingya Muslim minority is illegal Bengalis. As a result, recent administrations and populations cannot accept them, and the government has failed to provide them with any human rights as education and health care. So if Myanmar's government can't tolerate and openly accept the Rohingya ethnicity group so that all residents can live in harmony and without any harm, then the government Then the government radical policies. Buddhists as a majority were administration and political component in Myanmar. They had the power to administer their own state legislation and their own country's legislation and involved in all aspects of the country's industry as well as democratic governments with a pro-Buddhist leader and minister. Other than that, nationalistic xenophobia became more popular when Mr. Ne Win served as Prime Minister and President of Myanmar from 1958 to 1981. From that, the public viewed Rohingya Muslims as outsiders who pose a threat to economic development and border security. Actually, other religions such as Buddhism should not have to cultivate hatred and anti-Islam as it has been instilled in Myanmar society, because both religions can be practiced if the ethnicities do not think negatively in performing worship as in Rohingya. Last but not least, Nagamin or Dragon King operation. This operation actually attacked Rohingya state residents and forced them to flee the region focused on Rohingya people. In 1979, Myanmar and Bangladesh signed a bilateral agreement for the return of Rohingya refugees but cannot achieve the goal to protect Rohingya ethnic group. This shows the government remained committed to ethnic cleansing, even though it is an action that is opposed and criticized by the world.